Thank you and welcome to another exciting episode of The Trading Bell. This week on the program, we speak to Rose Mambo, who is the CEO for CDSC. We shall be telling you more about this particular organization, as well as the Makeba that will be sort of sharing the insights into what to expect, especially when it comes to buying of this particular bond. And before we get Rose rolling, let's take a look at her profile. Rose holds an MBA from Strathmore University, a Master of Laws degree from the American University in Washington, D.C., specializing in international business law, and a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Nairobi. Rose is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and a fellow of the Institute of Certified Secretaries of Kenya. She has worked as a state counsel at the Attorney General's office and at the Nairobi Securities Exchange as company secretary and head of legal and compliance. Thank you, Rose, for making time for us.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome on the Trading Bell.
Thank you.
We've not hosted you this year.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Great.
Yeah.
And of course, every time people see your face, they always know there's something in the market, and that is the Makeba. And this time round, you're seeing the government is looking to raise 500 million shillings.
Correct.
And what is the market sentiment right now?
Well, Makeba is always an exciting product for us because apart from just raising money from the government, for the government, it's also about getting people more involved in transacting in the capital markets, educating them about what a government bond is, and inculcating that savings culture amongst Kenyans. So for us, apart from just the whole idea of a bond that raises money, there's many other social aspects around it. And so this time we've opened the bond from the 19th of August, and people are registering. We are seeing, as usual, it's slow to pick up, but I'm sure it will gain momentum as we come towards the end of the offer period.
All right. Yeah. And I was speaking to the CEO for NSC, and you were saying last time's bond had a subscription of over 75%. What are your expectations this time round?
It's difficult to predict. There are many other aspects that come into it. We are hoping to raise 500 million, and of course we are hopeful for full, if not better than full subscription. But we wait and see what the market, how the market reacts to this new offer.
So far, how many accounts have been opened? How many have been registered?
So far, we have over 520,000 CDS accounts registered for Makeba. And about 20 to 30,000 of those have actually purchased the bond. Yeah.
And Rose, for the ordinary Kenyan who is trying to understand what this Makeba is all about, help us understand it in a simplistic way. And what will this money be used for once the government has raised it? And what are the returns looking like?
Okay. So the government usually raises money from local investors, local institutions, or even local citizens through the government bond program. Now, typically, the bond program is run through the central bank, and so you would have to go to the Central Bank of Kenya, open your CDS account, and the minimum amount to purchase is 50,000 Kenya shillings. The purpose of Makeba is to really democratize that whole bond issuance program of the government, make it more available to your ordinary Kenyan citizen, reduce the threshold of entry from 50,000 shillings to 3,000 shillings, and simplify it by making it accessible on your mobile phone. So now you no longer have to physically present yourself to the Central Bank of Kenya. You simply need to just dial the short code, which is *889# on your mobile phone. You will be guided through the registration process, and then once you register, you then will be guided through the process of purchasing the bond. So it's really trying to make the government bond program more accessible to your ordinary Kenyan citizen and make it more affordable, and then help them to save and get a good return. Now, the return on Makeba is 10%. So 10% per annum, so you get 10% return, and it's tax-free. It's not going to be assessed for withholding tax, so whatever you get as a return is your full return, free of tax. And then it's an infrastructure bond. It's a 3-year infrastructure bond, and today what we are doing is reopening an existing bond. So actually the bond has been running for 2 years. It has 1 year left to run. So we'll reopen it now. The value date will be the 9th of September, meaning that's the date that the actual bond will start running until September 2020. In September 2020, you get all your money back plus the final interest payment. But in between that time, you'll get your interest payment after 6 months.
All right.
Yeah.
And Kenyans love examples. Let's say I've sunk in, give or take, 250,000 shillings. And what would be my return like? So
you've put in 250. Don't say sunk in. You've invested.
Oh yes.
It's an investment and a good investment at that. So you've invested 250,000 shillings. 10% return on that would be 25,000 shillings. So 6 months from now, which will be in March next year, you get 12,500 paid to you through your mobile money wallet. And then at the end of the period, which is now in September 2020, you'll get the remaining interest, which will be another 12,500 shillings, and you then get your 250,000 that you had originally invested, also paid back to you.
All right. Yeah. So if I want to buy it like tomorrow, what do I need to have?
So you need to have money in your mobile wallet. Of course, you need to have your phone. Any phone, by the way, it doesn't have to be a smartphone because we are using a USSD code. So any phone, just dial the short code *889#, and then it will guide you through the process of registration. So just respond, key in your details, and you will then get a message saying that your CDS account, your Makeba CDS account is now open. Now, then you now want to invest. So again, you go back to the same short code, *889#. It will tell you which Makeba bond you want to buy, and the one available for sale is the Makeba 2 Reopen. So you select that, and then it asks you how much, and you key in the amount that you want to purchase, and then it will deduct the money from your mobile wallet and send you a message saying that you have now bought Makeba worth X amount.
Wow.
Yeah.
So simple.
It's very, very simple and straightforward.
I think I should try it out as well.
Yeah, please do. You can try it now.
And Rose, of course, there are those Kenyans who are a bit skeptical, saying that the government right now is still yet to pay some debts that we took internationally. And there's a misperception that this money might get lost, as we've been seeing happening in other aspects around our country. How do we assure the investor that their money is safe and they'll be paid upon the due date with the return you've just talked about?
The Makeba has been running for 2 years now, and in that time we've made interest payments of 67 million Kenya shillings. The payments have been made on time and they've been efficiently processed. And so everybody who has invested in Makeba has periodically received their interest payments. And for us, we have no doubt that at the end of the program, all the monies will be paid back to the investors. I mentioned that it's an infrastructure bond. And so the proceeds of this bond are dedicated to infrastructure projects.
Yes. And
that's the assurance that the government has given us, that any money raised through Makeba is solely dedicated to infrastructure projects. So we are fairly confident that the return is assured, as well as the payback of your initial investment.
All right. Yeah. And thanks for that clarification, Rose. And of course, you are not doing this in isolation. You're also working with the National Treasury as well as the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And from your assessment, looking at this is one of the first products that is one of a kind in the continent. How scalable is it in terms of the figures and also just making more Kenyans come on board? Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those projects where by the use of technology, you make a product completely scalable. As many people as want to invest can invest, and as many people as want to register can register. We have systems working in the background that have really huge capacity in terms of how many accounts they can hold, how much data they can hold. So in the background, backing Makeba is a whole infrastructure of systems that is jointly run by CDSC and the Securities Exchange. And this is really the business we are in. We manage the stock market on a daily basis. We manage all the ordinary CDS accounts on a daily basis. So for us, that scalability is very critical. And so really it's just an assurance that in the background, the systems that are supporting Makeba are very, very robust.
And what's the future for Makeba? We are seeing a lot of countries having an interest in what Kenya is doing.
Yeah.
And of course, it would really be important for us to see how we can expand it in terms of looking at the more people can come on board, the amount of money we can actually raise for. I remember Egypt was able to raise part of the money for the Suez Canal from a bond. And of course, Kenya is also not an exception when it comes to groundbreaking products in the market.
Yeah. No, I think that that is very critical, and that's why the bond is actually dubbed an infrastructure bond, with that recognition that raising money from the public towards infrastructure projects is actually a very good way to go about it, because the public also see that I put my money into infrastructure. I can see that I contributed to building this road, this dam, this infrastructure that the country needs to grow. And so it's a very good way of raising the government raising money from the public, but also the government getting the public more engaged in terms of I'm giving money to my government so that I can participate in the development of my country. And I mean, it's groundbreaking, like you're saying. And one of the things that has made it possible is the fact that the mobile penetration in Kenya is quite deep. And then the innovation through mobile money and through the use of mobile for all manner of payments, that innovation has made it so much easier for the reception of Makeba amongst the public, because for them it's not anything new to go to my mobile phone and do my business, make my payments. And so adding Makeba there and telling you that apart from just doing your ordinary business, now you can invest, you can save, you can support your government by investing in Makeba. So it's really the next step and the next level. We've always said, the government has always said that they want to inculcate a strong savings culture. They want to enable Kenyans to get good returns on their investments, but also because recognizing that maybe we don't have that volume or that mass that an institution would have. So how can I save my little money but still get a good return? If you try and put that money in a bank, you know, your 3,000, your 5,000, you'll not get any return at all. So the government is saying that I want you to get a good return on your investment, but at the same time, assist the government in the infrastructure development.
All right. And Rose, it would be unfair for me to end this interview without asking, what are the inherent risks around Makeba? Of course, to everything that has its advantages is also the demerits.
Yeah. I think for us, the key risk is just the slow uptake. Like you're saying, it's a very innovative product. It changes your way of thinking about investment. And we need to be able to do really broad spread investor education. That I think that is the inherent risk, that the uptake is not at the level that we expect. But on the flip side of that is that there's a lot of interest. So when I say that we have 520,000 CDS accounts, that just shows you the level of interest in the product. It's now for us to educate people and tell you that it's not enough to register. You really need to make the next step and make that investment. And if we are able to then manage that and grow the numbers over time, I think this will really be revolutionary.
All right. And what would be your closing remarks, Rose, especially now that we are not seeing the market performing pretty well? The NSE 20 is at about 2,600. The dollar is trading at 102.86. And there's this sort of bear run in the market at the moment.
And that's the beauty of being in the stock market, that you look at the list of products that you have available and you say, if this one is not giving me the return I'm looking for, let me put my money in this other product for now until the other ones come up. So for now, Makeba is actually giving you the best return. It's better than your T-bill rate. It's better than, if you look at the yield curve, a similar 3-year bond is not giving you 10%. And so really my message to Kenyans is that look at Makeba as a really good investment product. It will give you a good, safe and guaranteed return. It will help you save. And one thing that we haven't mentioned is that it also has a very easy exit option. So if you invest in Makeba today and before September next year you decide that you want to exit, you can exit through the stock exchange. And again, you just dial your *889# and say you want to sell. It's a guaranteed sale because we have a liquidity provider on the other end ready to pick up anything that anybody wants to sell. So anytime you want to sell, you have a guaranteed exit. You simply dial the short code and sell your bond, get your money back. Similarly, anytime you want to buy, it doesn't mean that once the offer closes over the next 3-week period that you can never buy Makeba again. Again, it's available for purchase on the secondary market, and you simply just dial the same code and you can buy. Okay. So it's a very, very easy and versatile product, ease of entry, ease of exit, and the timing for you is really whatever fits in with your economic situation at the particular time.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're saying investors should not be worried about what's happening right now in the market. Things might bounce back. How soon?
Well, I don't want to be predicting, but the market has its ups and downs. And to see the market down at this particular time of the year is fairly normal because companies have finished with their dividend payments. So now we are anticipating the next round of announcements of company results. And that again usually triggers more activity in the market. So we just go through the usual ups and downs, and probably we'll be looking at an up when the companies begin to reach their results.
All right. Many thanks, Rose Mambo, CEO, CDSC, Central Depository and Settlement Corporation, just walking us through Makeba. And I do hope that you've picked a few tips, especially when it comes to taking up this very important product in the market. I personally will be taking her to task to just help me register and also get on board this Makeba bond. And sometime next year, sometime around this time, perhaps I'll be getting my return on my investment. Well, we now want to take a look at market analysis for this week.